Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome to 2021. I'm excited. And you guys saw the title. I bought a new camera. But first thing, let's talk about not making videos for 2 months, maybe even 3 months. I am a photographer first. And though I want to start to make my mark in this YouTube space, making videos for the internet is a daunting task. And so the great illusion is that you see all of these people who do it so well, right? And you say to yourself, like, I can absolutely do that. And you're not wrong in thinking so. But when you think about what goes into making a video, it's a very limited actualization. The thought behind what it is very limited to what it actually is, to the hours and hours after recording that goes into a video. And that was lost on me. Just the amount of time that it takes to make one video, one good video, was lost on me. The second thing is I still record in my basement. So I know that I've gone through great lengths to make this look like a pretty dope studio. I'm actually really happy with how I make this look, but the realization is that I am recording in a very small space in my basement. And one of the major limitations of that is that my heater, my heater for my entire house is 10 feet in this direction. And so, and that thing cycles on a lot. So I either have to try to plan these recordings around that cycle, or I have to shut it off. The major limitation that I have been facing and trying to kind of figure out is that photography and videography is not my full-time job. I still have a 9 to 5, so to speak, a full-time job that I go to every day. I have been working my normal job with all of the time that I have. And then any free time that I've had, I have been spending as much of that time, you know, with my family as I possibly could, because that has to come first, which leaves time to make these videos very limited if I want to sleep. So then the last limiting thing is my own desire to want things just to be perfect. And Casey Neistat said something. I don't know if it's his saying or if it's just a saying that he heard, but I know I heard it from him. And the saying is, perfection is the enemy of progress. And that is a lesson that I am learning very heavy-handedly during this season, is that I have let my pursuit of perfection limit my ability to progress forward in this YouTube space. So, new year, new camera. And so what I have kind of figured out in wanting to be able to produce more videos more frequently, or at least consistently, is that I have to get over this inability to produce things that aren't perfect. And able to be able to do that, I did have to get a new camera, because the cameras that I have are very limiting in being able to do that. I am recording now on my Sony A7R4, and it's a fantastic camera, fantastic photo camera. I would stack this camera up against any camera on the market right now, including the R5. This camera is very capable, but it does have one limiting factor that prevents me from being able to vlog my shoots when I'm out creating things. One is that I'm usually using this camera to make the photos. This is my #1 photo camera, but I do have my A7 III, which is producing this image right here. And let me know in the comments if you guys like this kind of side angle, or if you would rather see like a top-down angle. I am usually recording video on the A7 III, but again, there's a major flaw in that, and that is that I can't see myself when I'm holding the camera up and pointing it at myself. And I've kind of tried to, make do with those limitations, but here's the truth. Here's the thing that I've had to come away with. When I have to figure out exposure, and I have to first, stick my hand out and point the camera to check exposure, and then I have to set the camera up, take a couple test shots to make sure that I'm in frame and that everything looks good. When you have to do that for every shot, and you have to do that a number of times, it starts to limit the things that you're able to do, especially when you have to do those things, 4 or 5 or 6 times, for one shot. And so I did come to the conclusion that I needed a camera that would allow me to see myself. Now, right away, the camera that came to mind was the A7S III, right? It's a fantastic camera. You guys have seen the reviews. If you are here and you're watching this video, you've seen the reviews on the A7S III. It's amazing. It's an amazing, amazing camera, but it is more camera than I know that I need it. And the second reason that I didn't go for the A7S III is because it's not just the price tag of the camera, right? Because it's a $3,500 camera, which means that you're probably with tax gonna pay at least $3,900 for it. And then you have to think about the memory cards that you need, and then the memory card reader, and then, maybe a new computer, because I hear that even with the A7S III, it's hard for computers to play back the files. And so these were all things that I thought about, and there was one compromise that allowed me to get all of the things that I wanted without, breaking the bank and having to deal with, things that I just didn't want to deal with. And that is, I went out and I got the A7C. And so, yeah, so I'm not gonna do an unboxing because, again, if you guys are here watching this video, the chances are is that you have watched, 100 other unboxings, and you guys know all of the specs. So I'm not gonna go through the specs on this camera. Pretty much, it does a lot of the things that the A7 III does. It has the same processor, it has the same sensor, with some of the things that the A7R4 does. It has the same autofocus system, and so that's actually the one thing that it takes from the A7R4 that's really important to me. And so, just to kind of get into it, the reason that I bought this A7 IV, the first reason right off of the bat is that it has this flippy screen. I needed to be able to see myself, and so that's reason number one. The second reason that I bought this camera is because I am still not 100% comfortable taking a camera and pointing it at myself and then talking to it, especially when I'm in public. And so the smaller I could get that profile that would, sort of take people's eyes off of me, the better. And I don't know if it shows on screen, but this is a tiny, tiny camera. If you guys are familiar with Sony's APS-C line, it's about the same size as it. Coincidentally though, when I hold it by the grip, it doesn't feel too out of place in my hand, which is a lot to say because, as I've talked about before, I do have really big hands. I'm a basketball player. I can palm a basketball with no problem. And so, but the grip is nice. There are some limitations to this camera. There is no front scroll wheel here. A lot of the custom buttons has been taken taken away. There is no joystick here to move the focus. And so the reason that all of these things weren't really deterrents for me is because a lot of the times what I'm going to be using this camera for is pointing it at myself shooting video. I don't intend to make a lot of photos with this camera, and so all of those very limiting things that would be important to someone who is a photographer first and who is thinking about buying this camera, those things would be important, but those things just aren't important to me just because this is not what I plan to be using this camera for. Also, I did buy a lens with it. I bought the 20mm, the Sony 20mm G lens 1.8, and this is how I plan to get around those limiting factors of this camera. And so one of the great things about this lens is that Sony did build this lens almost identical to the 24mm 1.4 G Master, and as you guys can see on the screen, these lenses aren't that different. This 20mm still has the focus ring, it still has an AF MF switch on it where you can decide between that. It does have the switch that switches between smooth and clicking aperture ring, and so that's important. And so this lens is built exactly like a G Master lens, and so I bought this kit together and saved some money on the lens, which was great. And so how I plan to use this lens in tandem with this camera is that since this camera doesn't have this scrolly wheel here that I normally would use to control my aperture, I can just use that on the camera. This aperture ring then becomes very important for me in that way. And then since I will be using this camera mostly for, again, pointing it at myself and shooting video this way, then the shutter button can then be mapped to just start video recording for me, which then allows me to map the video record button to something else. And that's really the great thing about these Sony's camera. One of the great things about these Sony cameras is that they are 100% customizable. And so that then becomes one custom button. The 20mm G lens also has this focus hold button on the side here, and then what this then becomes is my second customizable button, and then it also has the trash can button, which then becomes my third customizable button. So there is ways around the limitations that this camera came with as far as ergonomics go. And so with this lens and this camera kind of paired together, you know, there's workarounds for that. And so again, we talked about me wanting a smaller profile to be able to, you know, point the camera at. And so what I usually record with, I'm using right now, is a Rode Video Go microphone. And I was going to buy the Rode Video Micro to set on top of this, but this Movo VXR10 comes highly recommended by Armando Ferreira. I'm sorry if I said his name wrong. And so this is a really tiny mic. And one of the things that was great about buying this is that it came with this dead cat in the box. And so that wasn't an extra purchase. This mic was like $60. And I will link the video below where Armando talks about how much he likes. Actually, I'm gonna link the video. Armando did a microphone test of the 4 kind of under $100 microphones. It was between this one, the Micro Go, the Rode Video Micro, the Deity Duo, and then like a Sennheiser mic. And ultimately they decided that they really liked the sound out of this one the most. And so save some money that way, while still being able to keep the profile of this camera pretty small. And so this is what it looks like, the camera with the mic on, with the 20mm 1.8. And so what I intend to do is just keep this guy attached to this Gorrilapod, and this then becomes my vlogging setup to be able to vlog some behind the scenes, of shoots that I'm on, and when I'm out shooting alone and just creating for myself. I do also have this Peter McKinnon Polar Pro ND filter that I can put on the front of this in the case that I need it. This is going to be my new vlogging setup, and it's a tiny little setup when in comparison to my A7R4 and my A7 III. And so that is it. I hope to consistently be able to upload. I'm kind of throwing myself into the fire here. I want to be able to consistently upload at least one video a week for the entirety of 2021. So I want you guys to hold me to that in the comments. 52 videos this year. Yeah, and so that's it. I got some other things planned. I have to figure out a way to make this studio down here work for me better. Last year was tough for everybody. I am looking forward to the new year. I don't think that everything is going to be 100% different, but things are looking up, and I'm excited to be able to create the things that I have been wanting to create for a long time. And so real quick, I am going to throw a memory card into here, and I want to give you guys just an idea of the video, of the image that you're going to be able to get from this A7C. Again, I don't think that you guys haven't seen this video, but here is a video of the 20mm Sony 1.8 on the A7C. This is what I intend to do most of my vlogging on. The sound that is coming out of here is going to be from the Movo VRX10. I'm sorry if I screwed that up. I'll also link that down in the description. But yeah, this is it. This is going to be the vlogging setup. Again, the eye autofocus on here is working amazing. I can see a box around my eye and the screen. I have to get used to not looking over at the screen, but this is it, guys. So again, I hope to consistently be uploading videos, once a week. I hope you guys will stick around and watch those. If you guys aren't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe to this channel. I hope to be able to grow this channel substantially in this new year. Everybody who is new, thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Let me know if you guys have some questions down in the comments below. I'm Jamil. This has been A Boy Named Jamil, and I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, peace out. Thanks. Bye.